All right, folks, so after pardoning 15 people today, Donald Trump almost immediately released a pre-recorded statement critical of the bill that Congress passed yesterday, and he said that he won't sign it because, among other things, the stimulus checks are too small. Here's the full recording of Trump's statement. I'll play it, then I'll give you my thoughts.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I am also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me, and we will get it done. Thank you very much.
So Trump said that the bill contains assistance to all these countries: Cambodia, Burma, Egypt, Pakistan, various Central American countries. He says it has money for the Kennedy Center, the Smithsonian, National Gallery of Art, and other forms of what he believes to be wasteful spending. He said the stimulus checks are too small, there's too little money for small businesses, and especially restaurants. So he said he's asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. He's also asking Congress to get rid of all what he believes to be wasteful items that he feels are in this, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and hey, maybe the next administration will be him. Now, it's a little misleading though, right? Because a lot of the wasteful spending he's talking about is part of the appropriations part of this, right? Not the stimulus part, right? We fund these things every year. So that was honestly misleading. He also talked about $1,800 to families of undocumented folks. What he's doing is he's multiplying 600 by 3, right? That's the same 600 that everybody gets, except in the mixed family scenario, the mixed status family scenario, the one without the social doesn't get it, right? So, let's say one parent has a social, one doesn't, 2 kids, 1, 2, 3, right? $1,800 there, 3 times 6. So it looks like this is kind of a ploy that Trump thinks might help overturn the election. We have to keep in mind the Georgia runoffs here too. I think he's trying to position Republicans here as the party that wants to give big stimulus checks, when in reality, Trump is like the only Republican who wants to give big stimulus checks. So what will Congress do? We don't know, right? Trump didn't say the V word. He didn't say veto, but we know that Mitch McConnell announced this morning that he will call the Senate back to Washington on December 29th to respond to Trump's veto on the Defense Authorization Act, right? We also know that Congress, both houses, passed the stimulus/omnibus bill yesterday with a veto-proof majority. It was overwhelming, right? To override a presidential veto, you'd have to get 2/3 majority in both houses. Way more than 2/3 passed the coronavirus stimulus bill yesterday. So if Trump does veto this, I think Congress will override it, right? If he just doesn't sign it, pocket veto, well, Congress may have to deal with that by kissing their holiday goodbye, right? But one thing I do know, I just know that Donald Trump just made everyone in Congress hate him. Okay, I don't think that we're going to see $2,000 to $4,000 stimulus checks out of this. Okay, I just don't. I think Trump just made everyone in Congress really hate him. We will have to see how Congress responds. This is a developing story. One thing I do know is that $600 stimulus checks probably delayed now. Right? Mnuchin said early next week. Well, that's assuming that Trump was going to sign this thing, and I think it's ridiculous that Mnuchin could go on the air yesterday, right, and say, yeah, the $600 stimulus checks will arrive early next week, while the president that he works for makes this statement today, right? Mnuchin, it makes it look like there's no communication there, and that no one knows what the heck is going on. So it looks like those stimulus checks will be delayed, right? Unless Trump changes his mind on this, which I don't think he will, at least in the short term. But yeah, let me know what you think. What do you think about Trump's statement? What do you think about the situation, folks? It's pretty wild. And not just the stimulus checks, right? Unemployment. States aren't going to get their systems up, right, to do with the new unemployment. The rental relief, the eviction moratorium. But the government funding though, right? Because Trump did sign the 7-day continuing resolution this morning, right? So he has almost a week, right? So the government's still funded, right, until next week. So that he did sign, okay? But the omnibus, right, to fund the government through the rest of the fiscal year, and the stimulus, he did not sign. So this is crazy, folks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.